Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. Thank you for tuning in to our latest episode. Enjoy the show. Welcome back to Naptime Sports Talk Podcast. On today's episode, I'm going to be flying solo. Thank you for joining me today. I'm excited to talk a strictly football-only episode with y'all. So, we'll just start out. The Vikes won their last game on a thriller. 27-24 victory versus Seattle Seahawks. What a game. What a comeback in the fourth quarter with Sam Darnold leading the drive all the way down the field to score the game-winning touchdown. Great play by him, stepping up in the pocket, moving off to the left, took a hit and found JJ, who was pretty much in between two guys, one over top, one below. Just a perfect thrown football and an exciting end of the game there for the Minnesota Vikings. And then as well as Theo Jackson, who filled in for Harrison Smith, ended the game with the game-winning interception. So that was really awesome to see as well. So the Vikings are continuing the roll, 13-2 at this point of the season with 2 games left. The Packers on Sunday, and then the Lions after that on January 5th. So looking forward to this weekend's game. Hopefully the Vikings can continue to be victorious versus the Packers. We've got them earlier in the year at Lambeau Field. But yeah, it was a close game there. The Vikings were up big in the first half in that game and let the Packers come back, and they got it within 2 points. So I'm expecting to be another one-score game. But hopefully we get the victory there, and it'll be exciting week 18 finish versus the Lions, go for the division and go for that number 1 seed in the NFC. So, at this point, who would have thought we would be sitting here 13-2 with a chance to win the number 1 seed and the chance to win our division. So, if you asked me at the beginning of the year, I did my record prediction. I thought we were going to go 9-8 and just missed the playoffs. So I was way off on that. Super happy with them exceeding expectations from a lot of people, including myself. So we'll see how the year ends up and finishes out here. And yeah, hopefully we get some more games here in the future for the Vikings as we continue to roll on. But just a hot topic that was talked about on my family's Christmas a lot was the whole topic about Sam Darnold. And you're listening right now, send me a message, send me a text message. If you have my phone number, social media, let me know. What would you like the Vikings to do in this point? Do we extend Darnold, or do we let him go, walk the free agency, which I think is the most likely option that'll happen, and just roll with JJ McCarthy as we drafted him last year at number 10 overall. So, just looking into the future, obviously we have 2 games left, but just to give you some information there, as of right now, the Vikings are sitting at $77 million, roughly rounded up to $78 million in cap space next season, which puts us at 6th. I believe they would have a rollover cap from this season since we're sitting at $10 million right now, so that should bring that number up to about $88 million. Easy math there. So we could have $88 million going into the 2025 offseason here. There's some guys we have to look at that are going to be free agents. One that stands out right away is Byron Murphy. He's been playing tremendous there for us at the cornerback position, and he's still only 26 years old, so I think that would be a no-brainer to extend a guy like that. And some other guys, I believe Harrison Phillips, he's been having himself a really nice year. I think he has, let's see, 1, 2, 3. He has a couple years left on his deal, so that's a guy we do not have to worry about. But hey, the whole topic is, would you like to be sitting there at $88 million, going in the offseason next year? That number will obviously go down based on extensions we do. So, do we give big money to Sam Darnold? That's the question. I'd like to hear your opinion. Okay, so what I think the Vikings will end up doing with Sam Darnold is, I think they're going to let him go to free agency and see what kind of money he gets offered. And he's going to have a choice there. He's going to have a choice. He's going to take that big money, or if he wants to stay in Minnesota, he's probably going to have to take a deal that is not worth as much as what he could get in open market. So if I had to predict right now, I think Sam Darnold would probably be getting between $30 to $45 million per year based on the season he's playing. I think a Baker Mayfield contract could be a contract you could look at, but I also think that Sam Darnold would probably get a little more than Baker. So the question is, does Sam think that, do I want to stay here in Minnesota where I know what I have, I know what we can be, I have the weapons surrounding me already of JJ, Jets, Addison, Hawkinson, future people they may add to the roster. They have two cornerstone tackles with O'Neal and Darisaw. You know that Bradbury will be back next year at center. They have the money to go and add to the roster more. So I'm curious, will Sam Darnold take a team-friendly deal to stay in Minnesota since it's the best option, I think, for him? He knows what we have. He gets to work with KOC, who, in my opinion, should be winning the Coach of the Year this year. And also, he can work with Josh McCown, who would be back next year at the quarterback coaching position there. And Wes Phillips as offense coordinator still. So, Sam Darnold, he has a lot to think about there, and we'll see what happens. I do think the Vikes, if we get on a roll here in the playoffs and we end up maybe making it to the Super Bowl and potentially winning a Super Bowl, I think Sam Darnold will be back at quarterback. But if we fall short, I think they'll let him go, see what he can test in open waters. And you know what? It's probably going to be most likely goodbye, and J.J. McCarthy is the guy moving forward. So we will see what happens. It could be an interesting offseason. So we have some more games to get through before then, and hopefully quite a bit or more games. So at least, let's see, at least 5 or 6 games left here. So hopefully we can get to that 6th, because that would be in the Super Bowl. So, but yeah, kind of moving on to my next topic, just talking about the NFL. So currently right now, if you're looking at the NFL playoff picture, the Chiefs just clinched the number 1 seed there in the AFC. They're sitting at 15-1 in the regular season. Buffalo Bills are sitting with the 2 seed right now. They're at 12-3. The Ravens, they are 11-5. They're sitting at the 3 seed right now. I believe that the Steelers could potentially still win that, but the Steelers would have to win their last 2 games here. And actually, they lost their last game, so the Steelers would have to probably win out, or maybe the Bills have, or not the Bills, maybe the Ravens have clinched the division. They haven't clinched it yet, so there's still a potential chance that the Steelers could make it to that 3 seed. The Texans, they're pretty much going to be, I would say, a shoe-in for that 4 seed, most likely. And I believe the Steelers, they clinch a playoff spot. So in the hunt right now in the AFC of the Chargers and the Broncos that are on the hunt for the playoffs. Then you still have the Colts, Dolphins, and Bengals that have a shot to make it in, but they would have to have a lot of things happen for them to get in the playoffs. Then looking at the NFC, we have the Lions right now penciling at the number 1 seed, 13-2. The Eagles sitting at that 2nd seed at 12-3. And then we have the Rams right now, and the Falcons are on top of their divisions currently. Rams sitting 9-6, Falcons sitting 8-7. The Falcons do have the tiebreaker over the Buccaneers, who are sitting right now in the bubble, sitting at 8-7. So they do have the same record. We'll see what happens here. Atlanta has to play Washington. That'll be a tough game. Bucs have to play Carolina. So I'd imagine that the Bucs would most likely, they should win that game. Carolina is playing better football right now, though, with Bryce Young, which is nice to see. I'm a big fan of his and glad to see that he's doing well. And then the Rams there with the Seahawks win last night versus Bears. The Seahawks now are 9-7, Rams are 9-6, so they could still potentially get that NFC West there. So we'll see what happens with that. But that leaves the Vikes currently with the 5th seed and the Packers with the 6th seed. So NFC has a lot of things that can happen so far based on the seedings, but the for sure 4 teams that are in the playoffs right now are Lions, Eagles, Vikings, Packers. Those are the 4 teams for sure that are in the playoffs. And then you have the Commanders sitting at the 7th seed right now, are 10-5, so they will be in the playoffs as well. So it's going to be an exciting end of the year. A lot can happen. There's nothing that is set in stone yet. And actually, I'm going to go back. The Commanders haven't clinched a playoff spot yet. But sitting at 10-5, I would say they're most likely are going to. They just need to win at least one more game or have some things happen for them. But yeah, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully, the Vikes and the Lions are battling for the number 1 seed at the end of the season. That would be a lot of fun to watch that game. I know I'm going to be pretty nervous during that one as well. But hey, first we got to get through the Packers here at home. Anything can happen. And I'm hoping that we have a better showing versus the Packers this season than we did last year, as we had the role of Jaren Hall, unfortunately, as our quarterback, and that did not go well for us. So moving on to my next topic, I'm going to be talking a little bit about the NFL draft. So the NFL draft is approaching us. It'll be in April here in Lambeau and Green Bay. So I'm excited for that. Currently, the Vikings, this season ended today, were to be holding the 30th pick, but that's also based on how the playoffs run out too. So that pick can go that pick can go higher into the early 20s there, mid 20s, depending on how the playoffs shake up and what we do. But yeah, I'm just going to go over a mock that I did, or PFF, so Pro Football Focus. I used their simulator. So I did not pick for all the other teams. I picked for the Vikings only at number 30 right now. I'm just going to go over some names for you all to hear, so you can get kind of familiar with some prospect names going forward and some guys to watch out for. So currently, the first pick is held by the New York Giants, which unfortunately the Las Vegas Raiders won their game this past weekend, and they were sitting at that 1 spot. Now they dropped all the way to number 6 because of that victory. So we'll see what happens. Will the Raiders be out of one of the top 2 quarterbacks at this point? We can see how this mock shaked out with the simulation. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. And I know a lot of Raider fans are not happy with what happened. So we'll see. But yeah, so number 1 pick, you have the New York Giants, and they selected Shedeur Sanders, quarterback out of Colorado. Shedeur or Cam Ward are the top 2 quarterbacks, in my opinion. And I think Shedeur has a slight edge on Cam Ward. Cam Ward is a fantastic quarterback prospect as well, but I think Shedeur Sanders would be really, really good here at the next level. So the New York Giants got their franchise guy and they took Shedeur Sanders. Number 2, the New England Patriots go wide receiver, Tatorio McMillan out of Arizona. McMillan's a big-bodied wide receiver, big catch radius. This would be a really nice ad for Drake May in New England. Number 3, the Jacksonville Jaguars. So the Jacksonville Jaguars are going the route of Travis Hunter, cornerback out of Colorado. I should also say wide receiver, because I do think that Hunter will play both positions at some capacity at the next level. Obviously, Hunter just won the Heisman 2024 Heisman Trophy, deservedly so. A lot of people were upset and thought that Ashton Genty should have made that or should have won the Heisman, but hey, you have a unicorn player like that. Hunter was deserving of it in what he did. He's the best college football player in a very, very long time. And to do what he did on both sides of the football was just a fabulous and tremendous junior year for himself. The number 4 pick is held by the Tennessee Titans, and they're going with a new quarterback. So goodbye, Mayo boy, Will Levis. So they're going with Cam Ward, quarterback out of Miami. So this will be a really nice pick for the Tennessee Titans. They obviously need a quarterback. They get the second best quarterback here out of Miami, and Cam Ward is your new Titans quarterback there down in Tennessee. The number 5 pick, the Cleveland Browns, they're going interior defensive lineman Mason Graham. Mason Graham's going to be a tremendous interior defensive lineman at the next level. Top 10 pick, definitely is putting himself there at that number 5 position. I think he's head and shoulders beyond everyone else at that interior defensive line position. And the Cleveland Browns just add another guy on their defensive front. So, they've had a pretty down season this year. It'll be interesting to see what happens with Kevin Stefanski, if he's going to be their coach again next season. Only time will tell on that one. Also, I think the Browns are not sold on a potential quarterback. So this could be a position where maybe they move up ahead of the Tennessee Titans there and try to go for a quarterback. Okay. Number 6 pick, the Raiders. Raiders are another team that would most likely be trying to move up into that second position. I think the Giants are locked there at number 1, but the Patriots are sitting there pretty at number 2 because they got their quarterback last year with Drake May. I could see them move out of this position to add draft capital to their organization. So, but the quarterbacks or the Raiders were not able to trade in this situation, as this is a simulation. So they're going to add to their secondary and taking Will Johnson, cornerback out of Michigan. I do like Will Johnson. He kind of had a down year there in Michigan, but just Michigan in general had a down year on that defensive side of the football. They did have the big win, though, at the end of the year versus Ohio State, which a lot of people were happy about. So moving on to the 7th pick, the Chicago Bears are sitting there at 7, and they're going to add edge defender Abdul Carter out of Penn State. This is a guy you can still watch here in the playoffs, as Abdul and Penn State are continuing to go for a national championship. So look out for that name if you watch any playoff games, Abdul Carter. Number 8, you have the Carolina Panthers, and they're going with a running back, which is kind of surprising me. They did draft Jonathan Brooks last year out of Texas. But you're sitting at here at number 8, arguably probably the best running back prospect, in my opinion, since Saquon Barkley. What this kid's done this year is just an unreal season. His ability to hit the hole, break tackles, he's shifty, he's fast, he's very elusive. He's just a really, really good running back prospect. And guess what? You can still watch him in the college football playoffs, as Boise State will be playing Penn State here in the next game that they play. So they're going to be taking Ashton Jeanty, running back, out of Boise State. Sitting there at number 9, you have the New York Jets. Jets are going wide receiver. That's interesting in this situation, the simulation. They do have Garrett Wilson. They traded for Devontae Adams. We'll see. Is Aaron Rodgers coming back? Is he going to call it a career? We'll see what happens, but they're going to take wide receiver Luther Burden, the 3rd, out of Missouri. So this would be a really nice pick for them. Burden, McMillan are definitely the top 2 wide receivers in this draft, and then Hunter as well, depending on what position you're going to be putting him at. I would probably actually say Hunter's number 1, and then McMillan, and then Burden would be my 3 if I was ranking them. So yeah, the Jets add to their wide receiver group and potentially get Aaron Rodgers another weapon to work with. Sitting at number 10, the Saints are going to take the first offensive tackle in this draft class, and that is Will Campbell out of LSU. This will be a really, really nice pick. He's clearly, I think, in my opinion, him and Kelvin Banks Jr. are the top 2 tackles in this draft, so I don't think he can go either or wrong with either one of them. Sitting at number 11, the San Francisco 49ers. It is so weird seeing the San Francisco 49ers picking at this position. It's been, since Trey Lance era, since, they drafted Trey Lance, the 3rd overall pick, which they ended up trading up for, that they haven't been in this position. So they're going to be drafting Nick Scorton, might be watching that last name, edge defender out of Texas A&M. So he's a very powerful edge defender. Had a heck of a year at Texas A&M. I think he transferred this year. I can't remember exactly the school he transferred from, but he really made a name for himself there in the SEC. Sitting at number 12, are the Miami Dolphins, and they go with Kelvin Banks Jr., tackle out of Texas. So this is another guy you can watch in the college football playoff as the Texas season is still going, and they get Arizona State next game. I think that game is going to be a blowout. So that'll be interesting. And Texas really, really benefited from the seeding here in the college football playoff. At number 13, the Colts are on the clock, and they're going to take Jalen Walker, linebacker out of Georgia. So I think, Jalen Walker is definitely going to be one of those guys that can, rush the passer at the next level. I think he's more of an edge guy myself. I don't see him play off-ball linebacker that often, but I think Jalen Walker would be a really nice add to that Colts defense. Sitting at number 14, this is an interesting pick. The Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and they're going to take Emeka Egbuka, wide receiver at Ohio State. So this is another kid, I thought Egbuka was last year was going to enter the draft, and he decided to come back and forego the draft for his senior season here at Ohio State. So yeah, it will be interesting to see if this is something that the Bengals do. They have Jamar Chase sitting there at wide receiver position, and hey, keeping a kid in there or keeping another kid in Ohio there, and adding him to their wide receiver group for Joe Burrow. So we'll see what happens. The next pick is number 15, and that is Dallas Cowboys. I think the Dallas Cowboys would be pretty bummed to be at this position, number 15. I think they would really, really like a prospect like Ashton Genty at the running back position. But hey, they're going to get a stud here, and they're going with Benjamin Morrison, cornerback out of Notre Dame. Let's go Fighting Irish. Let's win this thing. But yeah, Benjamin Morrison is missing his season due to a hip injury, which is unfortunate and a big hit for Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They really haven't had him all season, but yeah, I really like Benjamin Morrison as a prospect, and I hope he can somehow slip into his way and land in the Vikings' lap, because I would really, really love that pick for the Vikes. Moving on to number 16, we have the Arizona Cardinals, and they go with a tackle out of West Virginia, Wyatt Milam. So that is another position there of need for the Arizona Cardinals, as they do need offensive help. They do need offensive line help for sure to keep protecting Kyler Murray, giving him more time to throw the ball. At number 17, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and they're going with safety Malachi Starks out of Georgia. So they add to their secondary there in Tampa. That would be a nice pick for them. Malachi Starks is a phenomenal defensive back, and you'll have a chance of watching him here in the college football playoff, as well as Emeka Egbuka. You can watch him too for Ohio State as well, and Jalen Walker. So look for those guys if you're watching the college football games. Number 18th pick, you have the Seattle Seahawks, and you have Josh Simmons, tackle at Ohio State. They're going for the tackle. If you watch the last game versus the Vikings, I thought for the most part they did pretty well. The tackle that was going versus AVG definitely didn't hold up there in the second half, as he got 2 sacks on him. But yeah, they're going to the offensive tackle market, and they're getting Josh Simmons. The next pick, Atlanta Falcons, and if you are a fan of the Minnesota Gophers, you know this name. Arante Irisi, tackle out of Minnesota. He is just a phenomenal offensive tackle. I think he's a really stout run blocker and he holds up in the pass game too. And man, he is a beast. It is a bummer that we'll no longer have him on the Gophers next year, but I'm excited to see what he can do at the next level in the NFL. Definitely one of our best tackle prospects in a very long time. Moving on to the 20th pick, the Houston Texans are on the clock, and they're going to take Mikael Williams, edge defender out of Georgia. They just keep adding to that defense there in Houston. They have Will Anderson Jr., they have Daniil Hunter. Now they just get another guy for the pass rush. So, man, that'd be a really nice pick there in Houston if this was an accurate sim. Number 21, you have the Chargers. I absolutely love this pick. This is a really cool one, actually. So this guy is going to team up with his former coach, old Michigan Wolverine coach there, and that's tight end Colston Loveland out of Michigan. What a cool pick that would be. And man, that would be phenomenal. That would be a really, really nice weapon there for Justin Herbert Now that would definitely help him out for the Chargers offense. Moving on to the 22nd pick, you have the Denver Broncos, and they're going to be taking running back Marion Hampton out of North Carolina. Marion Hampton's a very, very good running back prospect. I think this draft has two really, really good ones with Genty and Hampton. Hampton is no slouch at all, so he got beat out by Genty with how great he is of a talent. But yeah, that would be a really, really nice add to the Denver Broncos. And I just want to talk about the Denver Broncos real quick because, if you listen to the podcast, I was not a Bo Nix believer. Bo Nix has had a really, really strong rookie season. So hats off to him. He proved me wrong. We'll see how his career produces as it's still early on. But yeah, he's doing a lot better than I thought he was going to do here at the next level. So, all right, moving on to the 23rd pick. You have the LA Rams, and they're going to add to their interior defensive line. As you kind of see, if you watch the Rams, they're definitely missing Aaron Donald there in the middle. They did get a heck of a draft pick with Jared Verse. Man, when we played him, he was overpowering our left tackle all day long. And, especially when Darisaw got hurt, because that's actually the game Darisaw got hurt in, I believe, when he hurt his knee. But, man, Jared Verse is just an absolute beast. But they're going to add Kenneth Grant, interior defensive line out of Michigan. That'd be a very nice pick for them. Number 24, or the 24th pick, you have the Washington Commanders on the clock, and they're going to take edge defender Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. So, arguably, Stewart and Scorton, who went number 11 to San Fran, these two I would say, in my opinion, one of the best duos there in college football at the edge defender position. Moving on to the 25th pick, you have the Pittsburgh Steelers. They're going to be taking big-bodied wide receiver out of Stanford, Elik Amanor. Tough name to say. I know who he is. He's a really big-bodied wide receiver. He's made some really nice one-handed catches this season. I honestly am kind of surprised. I thought he'd maybe go back for one more year at least. But yeah, he's finding himself here in the first round. So based on this sim, it's a good choice for him. But yeah, they're going to be taking a wide receiver to help out there in the Steelers. Just watching the Steelers, they have George Pickens, Freiermuth catches a lot of passes, but they definitely need another wide receiver to help them. So I agree with this pick that they would go that route. Number 26. Wow, this one's kind of surprising to me, but this kid has had a tremendous season out of Iowa, and the Ravens are on the clock. They're taking Caleb Johnson, a halfback out of Iowa. Derrick Henry is there in Baltimore. Maybe they take a guy to spell him as he's getting older. I feel like Derrick Henry, instead of this last game, he had a really good game there on Christmas night. But I feel like as the season has progressed, he just kind of has fallen off a little bit. He's still getting some decent rushing yards and stuff like that, but I believe he was in a touchdown slump there for a while for multiple weeks. And I like this pick. Add to that running back room, help have a guy there that is pretty powerful back in himself, and he can come in and spell Derrick Henry when he's needing a break. Moving on to the 27th pick, you have the Green Bay Packers on the clock, and they're taking tackle Cameron Williams out of Texas. So another guy you can be able to watch here on the college football playoff, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Obviously, as a Vikings fan, I do not want to see the Packers get better, especially on the offensive line, giving Love more time to throw the ball. But we'll see what happens. With the 28th pick, you have the Philadelphia Eagles on the clock, and another running back is gone. So Quinshon Judkins out of Ohio State. So we have 4 running backs in this simulator going in the first round, which is pretty crazy. If you kind of look over the past years, not a lot of running backs going round 1, a lot going round 2. As the NFL has kind of progressed over the years, some think that you don't need to take a running back round 1. But hey, Judkins is another really good running back. I do think he'll probably fall out into round 2, as well as Caleb Johnson too. I think the sure locks for the first round are probably Genty and Hampton. I could see that happening for sure. But these last two with Caleb Johnson going the 26th to Baltimore, then Judkins going the number 28 or going 28th to the Eagles are kind of two surprising picks for me in this mock sim. With the 29th pick, you have the Buffalo Bills on the clock, and they're going to be taking defensive interior D lineman Walter Nolan out of Mississippi. So we're coming up to the 30th pick. And right now on the clock, the Minnesota Vikings are on the clock. So there's a lot of things that I feel like the Vikes could do in this position at number 30. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if they traded out of the first round and tried to acquire more draft capital. As of right now, I believe we only have 3 picks for the draft in 2025. It could change depending on things like compensation from last year with losing Kirk Cousins and Daniel Hunter and things like that. I believe we're already slated for 1 pick at least. I think that's like going to be in the 3rd or 4th round. But if you look watching our team, you know that we need that interior defensive line help. You know that we could use another guard, right? The beauty of it now is if we do move on and continue with our plan with rolling with J.J. McCarthy, we have the cap space to add free agents in those positions. We could get some key big-name free agents too with that kind of money. This position, as you look at our cornerback room, you look at our DB room, we have Stephon Gilmore, who's an aging vet, and we have Shaq Griffin, who's also an aging vet. We do have a couple of younger guys in the cornerback room. Haven't really seen them this year. Byron Murphy, I think, will be a staple going forward as long as we extend him. But we have a glaring need there at the D-back position. And at this point, we just got to start throwing picks at that dartboard, and hopefully we get one to stick here. I'm excited about this kid. He's had himself a really tremendous year, and he's a player out of East Carolina. Big body cornerback at 6'3". His name is Siobhan Ravel. I really like this kid a lot. I think he would be a very nice add to that Flores defense. So big body corner, go against, hopefully he can be, number 1 or number 2 corner, go against those top guys. But hey, we got to start adding that DB room, and we'll see what happens in free agency. Another thing I could see the Vikes do too is, say, trade out of that second round or first round in that early second round. May they draft one of these running backs. May they draft a Quinshawn Judkins. May they draft a Caleb Johnson. Maybe Marion Hampton falls out of first round, right? We know that Aaron Jones came for a 1-year deal. Do we extend him? We'll see. That is also a need as a halfback position. So that's something I could see them do as well. But hey, let's enjoy the football season as it ends here, as it keeps going. And like I said before, hopefully we get some more playoff games. Well, let's wrap this mock draft up. So the 31st pick, the Detroit Lions draft edge defender L.T. Overton out of Alabama. Then with the 32nd pick, the Kansas City Chiefs win their three-peat. Sorry, Big D, you got to get that KC tattoo. But they're drafting tight end Tyler Warren out of Penn State. Man, I do not like the Chiefs, but what a fantastic pick that would be for the Kansas City Chiefs. Oh my goodness. I'm just thinking they have Travis Kelce right now, and they move on from him potentially here in the future. And then they have Tyler Warren, who's been a fantastic player to watch this season. If you haven't seen Tyler Warren play yet, tune in to that game, Penn State and Boise State, and watch number 44 out there because he is tremendous. Well, that wraps up our first mock simulation that we have done. Yeah, I'm a big draft guy. I love the draft. So yeah, tune in to hear more. I'll go more in depth on these players as this season ends here. Like last year, I did top 5 by position. We'll probably be doing that again in some capacity. Some mocks. I'd like to maybe do a mock every month. I think that would be fun leading up to the draft. Have some guests come in and join me as well on those. But yeah, I'm just really, really excited for the end of the football season. Let's keep this rolling. But lastly, I just want to kind of want to leave off with the college football playoff. It's the first time ever in college football that we're having a 12-team playoff at the FBS level. In the first round, honestly, was kind of a bummer. We had pretty much big blowouts everywhere. Texas beat Clemson 38-24. Ohio State beat Tennessee 42-17, which I thought was going to be probably the closest game, and I was wrong on that one. Penn State beat SMU 38-10, and then Notre Dame, I was happy about this, 27-17 victory over Indiana. But the second round will be starting here December 31st as Boise State and Penn State play each other at 6:30 p.m. on ESPN. And then on New Year's Day, we have a slate of 3 games. We'll have Texas versus Arizona State at 12 p.m. It will have Ohio State versus Oregon at 4 p.m., which will be the Rose Bowl. The Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, that would be the Texas-Arizona State game. The VRBO Fiesta Bowl, that would be Penn State and Boise State. And the All-State Sugar Bowl, that would be Notre Dame and Georgia. So I'm a huge Notre Dame fan. What a fantastic season we've had. You know, we had that early slump there, and a lot of people were thinking maybe Notre Dame would be done. But we turned it around. We kept fighting, as the Fighting Irish do. And we just kept going week by week by week by week, taking playoff mentality every week, and really put a name out there for ourselves this season. So Marcus Freeman got the extension, which I was happy to see. I've had some nice recruits coming in. But yeah, Notre Dame versus Georgia. Bummed that it has to be a late night game, as that they'll get up the next morning to work. But Georgia's out with Carson Beck. They're going to have their backup quarterback. I think we could get them. I really do. Our defense is good. If we can run the ball effectively with Jeremiah Love, get Price in there, get Williams in there, get Leonard rolling with his legs, have him hit the crucial passes, I think we could move on to the next round. So, yeah, I'm just going to do some predictions real quick. So I think Notre Dame's going to beat Georgia. I believe Penn State's going to beat Boise State. If Boise can get Genty going, though, and get that run game and go and play good defense, anything can happen in that one. I'm going to say Ohio State gets Oregon this time. I can see that happen. So I'm going to have Ohio State move on. Then I'm going to have Texas beat Arizona State. So that leaves us to the semifinals. We'll have Texas versus Ohio State, Penn State versus Notre Dame. So we'll see what happens. Tune in those games. Watch those prospects that I talked about. And hey, thank you for listening. Hope it wasn't too bad listening to me for about 35 plus minutes. But hey, let's keep this rolling for the Viking season. Let's keep it rolling for the Notre Dame Fighting Irish season. And I'll catch you next time. Skol Vikes. Thank you for listening to our episode. Be sure to give us a follow on Instagram and X at Naptime Sports Talk Podcast for content related to the pod. Thank you for the support.